Thanks so much for joining into our July 2025 video update. This update is going to cover both the council briefing and the regular council meeting. I've kind of gone through both agendas this morning and try to make some notations so I don't repeat anything, but so that I cover everything at least once. Also, of course, as you all know, in the Arsenault house, we have two young twins here, and they're doing great. Again, thanks everybody for the prayers and the thoughts and the calls and all the things. But if you hear somebody crying, it's part of life, and we record these at home, and so that's part of doing the videos at home. So please excuse any crying that you may hear. It's a part of the Arsenault house for now. So jump right into it. I'm going to start with the items that were on the council briefing meeting that were not on the regular meeting. Most of them are updates, but I'll go ahead and go over those now. First thing, we did briefly discuss a litter ordinance that Councilwoman Danielle Caprito has been working on. That is getting very close to being finalized, but we were not quite ready to put that on just yet. I spoke with Councilwoman Caprito this week, and she should have that ready shortly. That'll be a big improvement, make our litter ordinance a lot more comprehensive. We talked pretty extensively about capital outlay. That's a portion or a large portion of the money that we get from the state. Really big shout out to Julie Emerson and Senator Boudreaux for their work getting money back to Carencro. So really appreciate it. I'm going to highlight a couple of things. $3 million for water projects. So that gives us about $5 or $6 million total to move forward with the next phase of getting those cast iron pipes out of the water, out of the ground to fix our water. Huge win for us there. $7.2 million. That is in one of the priorities, meaning it's that those dollars are not 100% ready to go, but they are sort of in line. That 7.2 million is part of our match for what I'm calling the straightening out of the dog legs at Gloria Switch. We've talked about it before, but kind of between University and I-49, where they have the curves in Gloria Switch, we have a long-term plan, a multi-year plan to straighten those curves out. And this would be our local match, and we've applied for some federal dollars for the other portion as well. So got some money to finish the coulee along I-49 and Gloria Switch, get that cleared out and dug. And then we got some appropriation money. Appropriation money is big. That's essentially cash. That doesn't have to go through some other steps that some of the capital outlay money does. So that's more like a cash equivalent. Just some quick ones. We got about $1.5 million for City Hall renovations, $330,000 for the police department for some training software that they have. $340,000 to renovate Station 2, Fire Station number 2, which is on Hector Conley. I was on the fire department even long after that was built. But the intention of that building really was to house fire trucks. We didn't have full-time people then. We didn't have nearly as many trucks. It wasn't as complex. And so Chief David Mouton needs some money to do some renovations there to get it kind of back up to par to better meet their needs. So he'll have $340,000, and I know he's working on plans for that. And then outside of the city, but a big win for our residents, $250,000 for Cormier Road. That's the gravel portion off of Post, between Post and Brockade. And so a lot of our residents travel there. We have Post Road. The city of Carencro owns some property that abuts Cormier Road there. So that'll be a big win for us to get that paved. Again, the parish will be handling that. That's a parish road, but it's a win for our citizens. So we did get a sewer update. They're having pre-bid meetings this week. They're going to go to bid soon. And so things are moving forward. This is the major sewer project that we're working on off of Post Road. Been working on well over 10 years. This is why the 2016 tax was passed. And so say your prayers, cross your fingers, do the things that you do to hope that we get a bid that is something that we can afford to move forward with now. The city is going to partner with Advanced Credit Union for the employees. This is a no-cost service to our employees to get credit union type benefits. And so the mayor has agreed to do that. Desire Line. So after this video, I'm going to post on my social media this flyer. It tells you how to get involved, how to keep track of what's going on. This is the company that was recommended by Fence the Maker, who did our master plan. And as part of the master plan, the master plan was sort of like an umbrella, big overview looking at what do we want to work on and what do we want to do. One of the big parts that came out of that was working on our development code, and then there's lots of things under that. And so Desire Line, we hired to do a multi-year. It'll be about a 3-year project to completely, let me be cautious saying completely revamp, to take a hard look at our development code and make changes that are needed. They're in the initial phases now. I have had pretty considerable discussions with them. I had a long list that I've been keeping for some time on things that needed to be adjusted in the development code. Whether you are somebody who lives in a neighborhood, a business owner, a developer, whoever you may be, if you have input on the development code, please see my Facebook after you watch this video and get involved in the process. They're very open to hearing things. Again, I'm in conversation with them now. So the plan is not to throw out our current code and completely redo it, but it is to adjust things and bring things up to date, get them more together. So more to come on that. I believe that is the main thing. The other two things is that the mayor did announce that she has hired somebody to wear multiple hats. They will be a master plan administrator. They will help with planning. They will help with social media. They will help with many of those business development, many of those things. And so we were able to meet her at the meeting. And then also somebody else who wears multiple hats. I think some of those may cross over, and I may have actually misspoken on who wears which hats. But a lot of hats have to be worn, and so the mayor's hired an assistant to the mayor, which she had both of these positions essentially were present before. Ms. Val kind of held one, and then we had somebody else in the assistant to the mayor position. So both of those positions are filled. They were both at both of our recent meetings, and I look forward to continue working with them. In fact, the code enforcement officer slash special assistant to the mayor, I've already begun working with, and we've had some great outcomes so far. So good news there. So then I'll move on to the regular agenda. Again, most of this stuff was discussed at the council briefing, but I'm not going to duplicate them. We have Mr. Francis Touchette come by. He comes by 2, 3, 4 times a year to give us an update on different things with the school system. I thought we had a good update here. And so some of those things are that August 7th, school starting. One of the things that I really took away from his talk was absenteeism and truancy, and they're really going to crack down. They're going to do everything they can to get those kids in school, and there's lots of steps that they're going to do. But if it ultimately comes down to it, they will take it to the court system. They will get the legal system involved because they believe kids should be in the classroom, and I do as well. So big push on that. He did talk about some dress code changes. Blue and black jeans will be allowed. There's some adjustment to some start times at the schools. And so all of that stuff can be seen on their website. He basically has 2 big initiatives that they're working on. I already talked about one, which is absenteeism and truancy. And then the other one is building relationships with those students. And so they're going to work on that. He was able to get the starting teacher pay up to $50,000. And then there's also some incentives for those teachers based on what they do and how well their students do. So trying to move things in the right direction. He has some other updates that he tells us he'll come back in a couple of months and give us. They do have a millage renewal that is coming up. This is not a new tax. This is a renewal of a property tax. It generates about $20 million a year that goes to the school system. That is a large portion, I would imagine, of their operating budget. Pays the light bills and those sorts of things. So it's a renewal, not a new tax. We then heard from Ms. Livonia Malvo. She is with U.S. Congressman Cleo Fields, and she is currently located in Opelousas, but she does kind of have moving business hours, and she was there to introduce herself. She did give us some packets of information. If anybody needs anything from any federal agency, you can reach out to me, and I have her contact information. But she was very friendly and there to help. We then also recognize, as we do 3 or 4 times a year, some 4-H students who have gone above and beyond. It's always great. I say it almost every time. My kids are in 4-H, and I really think it's a great program, and it's great to be able to honor those kids. We then approve the previous meeting minutes and the financial reports. I did comment at the meeting. We get financials once a month, and we've gone through a few different formats of that in the last few months. The format that we currently have, I really appreciate the mayor's team, the financial team who put it together. It's very, very easy for me to see where we're at in the budget year, how much have we spent this month, year to date, where are we with the budget, and so I appreciate that. In terms of sales tax, we are again up. We seem to certainly be on a trend of higher sales tax than we anticipated. I don't know yet exactly where that's going to end up. We're, about halfway through the year, our fiscal year. But all of our tax funds are up. I did do some rough calculations over the weekend to see kind of where I think we're going to be. And I think we're going to be in a good financial position in the year. If something comes up between now and the end, we may have to spend some of that, but we have no intention of spending that surplus. Things were kind of tight last year and even the year before, and so hopefully some of that can be used to build our reserves back up, which we've had to deplete some. Fortunately, we had conservative budgeting this year, and so that should be good. When I look across all the different departments, everybody seems to be pretty close to where they should be year to date in terms of spending. So it looks like our spending is where we expected, and our income is higher. And so that's always a good place to be. It's no different from your house budget. You got money that comes in, and you got money that goes out, and you got to figure out how to do that. And so I think we're doing a good job up to this point. Next thing I want to focus a little bit more time than I usually do is on the department head updates. I thought, every month I think we get really good updates, but I thought we got some very key updates on some things. So I am going to have to reference my note. I apologize for looking down, but there's some details that I don't want to miss. So first, we got some updates from Buster Broussard. And one of the things, unfortunately, is I've been talking about, and I've certainly been harping on, is co-deconstruction, who's working on some sewer lift stations. Unfortunately, very little movement. I did receive the letter that our attorney sent both to co-deconstruction as well as their bonding company. I think the administration is taking the right steps by putting them on notice and demanding a plan of action going forward. From what I understand is he's still there and still working. There was a part that was needed. He did not order it early enough. So that's kind of the delay there, but they're still there. They're very close to finishing. We're hoping to get them to finish the project rather than having to get a new contractor to come in and finish it. So we'll see what happens. Again, we're going to have a meeting, or the city will have a meeting, a pre-construction or pre-bid meeting this week for the new sewer plant. So that is good. The current phase of the water project is essentially done. Those lines are being flushed and pressure tested. Anytime you hear us say flush or pressure test, you should think, can I have some brown water? Which you could. So be very careful of these next week or couple of weeks. Please test your water before you wash your white clothes and towels. It's temporary. We are working on a fix. Again, I mentioned a minute ago, we got another $3 million to continue working on it. It's a massive project. Once we get all these cast iron lines out of the ground, I feel very, very confident this problem will be essentially done. But we got to get there, and this is part of the process. So continue to bear with us. Please check your water. Then we heard from the gas department, and those of you probably know, but I haven't mentioned it in a while, we do have food distribution once a month. So if you're elderly, if you're low income, if you have disabilities, those kind of things, reach out to City Hall, ask them. We have multiple programs that we partner with, FoodNet and others, federal programs, charities that get us the food. And then we use the Carencro Community Center and some city employees to help distribute that food. So if you are in need of food, whether that's dry food or whatever it may be, reach out to City Hall, reach out to me. We can get, or if you know somebody, a neighbor, let me know and I can get you the details on who qualifies for what, when that is, and how to do it. It's essentially no cost to the city. It does Costs us a little bit in time from some employees, but there's no actual cost, and so it's a great service we provide with some area partners. Still having senior bingo on Tuesdays. That's been a big hit from the onset. If you need more information, it's all over social media. So please see that. Ms. Purvis Morrison did mention that we got a $12,000 grant from LCVC, the Visitors Center, Convention and Visitor Center. And this will help with the sewer project at Pelican Park. Because Pelican Park brings people to the area, they will help with that. So that's great there. Parks Department. I thought that maybe was the highlight for me. Mr. Mark Olivier with Parks gave some great updates. So, as you all know, Carencro and Case have parted ways in terms of a working relationship. I don't know K-Side's future. I'm not involved with their organization, but I know about the future of youth sports in Carencro, and it is bright. And so the city of Carencro has stepped up. Mr. Mike Woodall from the sports complex, who has been around sports and youth sports longer than I've been alive, is heading up. We're starting with flag football. You can see that on the Carencro Sports Complex page. There are posters throughout town and at Carencro Park. That will be played at Carencro Park. It is a low-cost sign-up, and it will be, you have my word, it'll be something that I'm very comfortable putting my name behind and supporting. And so that is the first step of Carencro Youth Sports. That's what we'll start with in the fall. To follow this, we'll have volleyball, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. Check my notes here. And then, of course, we'll have baseball in the spring. And those will all be through the city of Carencro. And so keep an eye on the social media pages, flyers throughout town. There's some big Coca-Cola banners that were put out. So that's happening. Exactly what the future looks like going forward, I don't know. But I do know that the mayor and her team, and especially Mr. Mike Woodall, who I have complete faith and trust in, is heading up youth sports for us moving forward. Pelican Park concessions, 99% done. 99% done. Really great news. I'm going to hope to tour that this week or next, but I'm told from Mark, I spoke to him a little bit after the meeting, beautiful, very, very functional for us. And so that'll be great for those of you, whether it's youth or adult activities that are there. That's going to be great. The office up in the front of Pelican Park was also painted to, I don't know if match or coordinate with the concession stands, the right word, but it was painted to give it a facelift and to help it match with the concession stand. There are signups for adult softball that will be starting on August. The league will be starting on August 1st. 10 teams have signed up. I don't know if it's too late to sign up or not, but if you are looking to sign up an adult softball team, reach out to Pelican Park. They can get you that information. Lots of youth tournaments happening. It's really, really hot, but those youth baseball and softball things tend to die off at this time of year, and they'll pick back up in the fall. Carencro Park, again, we have parted ways with K-Side. They are 100% out, meaning all of their equipment is out, all of their things they have, the concession stand, whatever it is, they are 100% out. And so we are moving forward with ensuring that the concession stand is ready to go. And we have a potential tenant for Carencro Park. I'll be honest, I don't know who it is. That would be somebody in conjunction with the Carencro Youth Sports that we're going to do. And so more to come on that if that deal works out, but Mark's working with somebody there. Carencro Community Center, new sound system is up and running. So lots of things happening there. Another thing about Carencro Park is upgrades are continuing. I've been talking about a bathroom concession stand. We are considering turf in the future, depending on how this tenant works out for us and some other things. So lots happening at Carencro Park. Keep your eyes peeled. Police Chief David Anderson gave some really good updates on crime statistics, in particular in regard to youth or juvenile felonies. And so things are moving in the right direction. He has multiple programs he does really throughout the year, but in particular in the summer for those juveniles. Chief David Mouton, something I have been on since I came to the council is funding from the parish. For those of you who don't know, the Carencro Fire Department, which is really the city of Carencro Fire Department, contracts with the parish for the unincorporated areas, those areas outside of the city limits, to provide fire protection. Unfortunately, for many, many years, long before I was on the council, it was very lopsided. The citizens of Carencro were absolutely paying for fire protection for those other people. Um, Look, the majority of my family and friends live out in the unincorporated areas. I want to provide fire protection, but I don't want to do it on the backs of the citizens of Carencro. So I began pushing very early on to change that funding source. Chief David Mouton and the other fire chiefs and Lafayette Consolidated Government have taken huge steps in the right direction. We're not there yet, but we're very, very close to having the parish fund their portion. So he will continue working on it. He thinks we'll have an additional $25,000 in funding next year. And so that's great. There's a big increase in fires recently in our area. 50 or 60% increase is the number that comes to mind from the meeting. Most of those are preventable. You have to do the simple things. Please don't plug in multiple appliances to one outlet. Have a working smoke detector. If you don't have one, the fire department will come to your house and install one for free. Check your smoke detectors once a month. Those kind of simple things really can save not only your property, but you and your family's lives. We heard from Andy with Instamaker. I thought it was probably the best update that we've had from him for quite some time. And so they're estimating the gas project that we've been talking about for some time with contingencies built into it at about 2.9 million. We have a grant for just over 3 million. And so they're working with the federal partners to get that out to bid. So we're hopeful that works out well, and we'll see what happens. The other thing that I asked about was we've been talking a little bit. We're going to have to move, or some utilities need to be moved for the turning lane near the proposed walk-ons, which, by the way, walk-ons can proceed with their project. They have all the things they need, so hopefully they'll be starting soon. Andy gave an update that he thinks that maybe the utilities that are in the right-of-way that we need moved will need to be moved at the expense of the utility company, not us. So that'll save us some money, and I think it was really good. We were going to renew the property tax millage, which we do every single year. The tax assessor has asked us to table that. Not exactly sure the details why. We are proposing no change. I'm going to continue no change. I'm not going to vote for an increase in our rate, although I don't think we legally can anyway. That was tabled. Mr. Justin Centeni, who is our tax assessor, will be at our next meeting to talk about the details. Chief David Anderson needs to sell a police car. It's a 2018 with about 75,000 miles on it. The air condition does not work. And so that's a vehicle no longer needed. He's hoping to get, I believe he said about $15,000. He's reached out to multiple police chiefs to see what we can do. That would at least allow us to get all of our equipment out of it, which is better than oftentimes, which is we have to give it away because they too many mileage or they don't run or whatever. So anything we can get here would be great. 2 ordinances for final adoption. We've talked about them both extensively. The first one, annexation of property on Irish Street, it passed. There was a clerical error previously. That's why we had to do it. And then the traffic impact study that passed. I've talked about that extensively as well. This will require traffic impact analysis on developments, and it'll just kind of depend on the size of the development and those sorts of things. It's a pretty comprehensive plan. We did not reinvent the wheel. This is things that other people are already doing. Also, this is part of what I'm in discussion with our planning with Desireline, who's working on the development code. So I don't think we'll have any changes to what we passed, but I did ask them to look at it and make sure that we're basically in conformity with what she sees other municipalities doing around the area. 2 discussion items. First one's a hot item, Irish Street. We had Mr. VJ, who's a traffic engineer. I mentioned before that packet was very, very thick, very dense, very heavy in engineerese. I did read it for what I'm able to, not being an engineer. But he summarized it that he believes that we do need a light, although the criteria is close. It's not clear cut. In addition, he thinks we need to extend that left turn lane if you're coming down Ira to University, because that will allow the light to be much more functional. They're also looking at crash data, which we do meet, but we're not quite there. I believe you need, and don't quote me for sure, 150 cars an hour for 8 hours a day. We don't meet that. But there are some other factors they can look at. And so they did, and he believes DOTD will be able to approve it. Unfortunately, it cannot be approved at the local level. It needs to be done at the state level. So we're going to be in DOTD's hands. Fortunately, Mayor Clavier has a good working relationship with DOTD, much better than we've had in the past, and that's certainly been no fault of anyone in Carencro's. But the relationship with DOTD is vastly improved from previous state administrations, and so I'm hoping we can work with them and get this done. Saddle Creek variance request. Another kind of technical engineering issue. I'm going to try to summarize it, but to not bore anybody, and because we're getting a little bit long, if you have a particular interest in this, let me know. The basic summary is all municipalities handle this differently, but we currently allowed the developer to hold a half of the lane of traffic in a subdivision development during a 10-year rainstorm. That determines how far apart they put the catch basins or the outlets that flow to their retention ponds. Other municipalities have, maybe the water can go up to the center line, maybe it can go 3 inches above the center line, maybe it's for a 5-year storm, maybe it's for a 10-year storm. And so this developer was asking us so where we got our standard of half a lane for a 10-year storm is based off of a DOTD recommendation. However, DOTD's recommendations are for state highways. They're for 50, 55, 60 mile an hour roads, not 20 and 25 mile an hour roads. And so what the developer was asking was to use the LCG standard, which is to allow the water to go to the center line, not above, but to the center line during a 10-year storm. And we actually went a step further in that they allow that for a 5-year storm, which is a lower water amount. We have a 10-year storm that we design or plan for when we do a development. It's a stricter standard. So we did grant him a variance, and we are going to amend the ordinance to allow that. Our engineer, Andy, certainly didn't seem to have any opposition. I didn't receive any calls on it. This does not change the amount of retention or detention a development needs. That amount is the same. And so, I think this is fair. This will not change flooding in a neighborhood or any of those kind of things. So again, kind of complex engineering issues that maybe I won't even be able to answer for you, but I think I have a very good grasp on it. I've really thought about it. I've done some homework. I'm comfortable with it. It makes sense to me to allow some of that water to hold or stage on the road prior to flowing off into the retention or detention pond. In my mind, that will lower or slow down the rate of that water flowing from the retention pond into the public coulees and ditches. Regardless, that's what we did. We're going to likely amend the ordinance to say that going forward, but we did grant a variance last night. 2 meetings in 28 minutes, I think not bad. Thanks for tolerating the time and the baby's crying in the back. I'm going to go check on mom and the babies. Thanks for watching.